Mike, you were just on a panel about data center capacity planning. What do you think are sort of the main issues at the moment regarding capacity planning?
I really think that hardware sprawl is one of those issues, and I think the biggest thing is trying to communicate and understand what the needs of your customer is that's going to use this data center. I think communication is vital on all levels, whether it's IT to facilities or throughout the organization. So I think that's the most important thing.
What are some of the tactical solutions that you're seeing that people, as people sort of look to try and scale up their capacity without necessarily adding to their data center footprint?
Definitely trying to employ some of the energy efficiencies that you can do, like cold aisle containment, blades, virtualization. This conference has been talking about cloud computing all day, and it seems like it could have a really big effect on this industry in general to be able to get more out of that box. I mean, squeezing more out of your data center is what it's all about, and trying to be more efficient. And we talked about turning off some dead servers. I think that's one of the biggest offenders out there, and being smart about deploying things. Where does it make sense? And we talked about redundancy. Is your high redundant data center the best place to put a service for office automation that can survive a couple-hour outage, or can you put it in a different facility that's maybe a little more outdated but would work just as fine for that type of thing?
Okay. And how is sort of the current economy affecting your data center strategy?
I would say the biggest thing for us has been we've been growing leaps and bounds and forcing us to quickly build data center space. So the current economy has helped, if you can find a silver lining in it, has slowed down this growth and allowed us to be a little smarter and stop and employ some of these great energy and cost-saving measures to get more out of our data centers. So I think that's would be one of the biggest tactical things is being able for us to be able to stop and look at some of this stuff instead of just addressing the next crises has been very important, and it's one of the reasons why we've become so adept at capacity planning is that because of that, you constant trying to catch up, right? Try to get something in place and not having the opportunity to say, hey, we can be smarter about this. And I think that this current economy has helped that.
One of the questions at the end was about container data centers. What's your opinion about those?
I don't see much of a difference between a container and it can be squeezed down to a small pod within your room. You can do everything you can inside that room and not have this container type of piece. I think there's a place for it in some markets. I don't see it 100% today for my business, but the Googles of the world, this is a great model. But for I think financial companies that are churning out new hardware all the time to keep that competitive edge, I don't think it works as well. I think you'd be more cost effective being able to do it in your pod or in a small room that can handle these things. And that flexibility allows you to strip things out and rework that room after 4 or 5 years of use if the technology changes. I see no difference between it other than the container's a nice, fancy, new, radical idea, and I think it'll be a philosophy more. What am I comfortable putting my stuff in a container? And in fact, he talked about, as a gentleman from Microsoft, is that one of their plans is to have their data center really be 4 walls in a farm for these things. Some companies might not feel so comfortable having just a container out there and would like the security of 4 walls and protecting themselves. So.
Thank you. And what for you has sort of been the main takeaway from the conference today?
Well, I think the biggest thing for me is the impact that cloud computing can have on this business will sort of revolutionize. I wouldn't say revolutionize. It brings it all back into the old days of mainframes and having this pool of resources that you can apply as needed. I think that it's refreshing because you can do it with some minor building blocks and create this large computing infrastructure and get more out of the box. And I've said it before with our business, we don't use 100% of the capacity of a server because we're looking for those market peaks that may happen 2 or 3 times a day for 5 or 6 minutes, but you have to be able to reach to that. But if you can make your cloud that smart where you can be running something else that can be stopped and shift that capacity quickly, I think it has a lot of potential. I think it's not very mature at this point, but I think 5 years from now, I think we're going to see more and more of it out there, and hopefully in the financial industry.
Well, Mike Salvador, thank you very much for your time.